These are the top 5 rums you can get on Amazon in the UK under £25. Now I'm going to explain why I've picked these 5 rums in a second. I'm also going to give you some near misses and run you through the list of what I think would be decent rums for you to get on Amazon. But I just want to preface this whole video with a couple of things. Firstly, this might be a bombshell to a lot of my US Canadian viewers. I'm not sure how it lies in Europe and the rest of the world actually, but in the UK we very much buy alcohol online. And the cool thing with it, sometimes even with Amazon, it's same day delivery if you're really close to a hub, but it's next day delivery on that. There's another thing I also want to say. My long-term viewers will know, especially in the UK, I'm a big advocate of Master of Malt, which is another kind of online alcohol retailer, if you like, and the Whiskey Exchange. Master of Malt has been my go-to. I've been a customer of theirs for 15, almost 20 years. I've lost track of time now through various businesses and my own there. I always do firmly believe that Master of Malt is the cheapest. Yes, there may be deliveries on there, but you've got a Master of Malt Prime service on there as well. So these are all dependent on being an Amazon Prime member, which you've got to remember, people look at it as free delivery, but you're paying, you know, I forget what it is now, but I think it's roughly £79, £80 a year for that privilege. So yes, there's swings and roundabouts on that. Yes, Master of Malt do have their Prime service as well. Time is money for me. I never shop around for deals or anything like that. If I want something, I just go to Master of Malt. I've got a trade account with them and I just order it next day. But for those that do like to shop around and do like to have a bargain, there are some bargains to be had on Amazon. And I just want to kind of give a shout out to one of my longest serving members, actually Rossi B, because he very much, if not most days, but he will kind of surf Amazon and put the daily deals in the sort of Discord community for us. So a big shout out to them. There are various other people that have started doing that now, but Ross has been doing it for a very long while. Now, there's a couple of other things I'd like to note on here as well, because over the last sort of 3 weeks I've been researching this video, I've been dipping in. I never really, because I never spend that much time on Amazon for alcohol, I never really cottoned on to this. But the prices fluctuate almost daily. And this list, this top 5 list, has changed sort of 3 or 4 times at least over these last 3 weeks, because some rums have gone in, some rums haven't gone in. For example, the big one I want to shout about was Plantation OD. This was in, and then it wasn't in, and then it was in, and then I just gave up on it because it was yo-yoing all around. When I first saw it, it was £23. And now at the time of shooting, on the physical day of shooting, it's £26.39 or something like that. Which, again, is a classic example because I think that's a bit of a rip-off. Again, through trade prices on Master of Malt, I'm paying sort of like £18, £19 on that. I dare say there might be a little bit extra on top of that. You might be looking at £21, £22 Master of Malt for just regular customers there. But I think £26 for that is a little bit extreme. So before I get into the runners and riders and near misses and other shout outs, other rums that I think you may or may not be able to purchase on there, I just want to give a kind of a criteria of how I came to this. So I went onto Amazon and just typed in rum in the search bar, and then I narrowed the search down to £18 to £25 on there. That gave me a result of 217 different rums that I could buy under 25 quid. Now, I also want to add in, most of those were spiced rums, and the big brand spiced rums, like your Dead Man's Fingers, your Red Legs and stuff like that. You know, it was those commercial brands of spiced rums that were very much in there. But for the bulk of these 3 weeks, I had a list of 30. That included the Plantation OD. So you could kind of say I had 29 rums that I would at some level kind of recommend that you could buy from Amazon from next day delivery. And there is also one very, very near miss into this as well. If I'd done a top 6, it would be here, but it's just missed out, and I'll come to that in a second. Now, here are the rums that were also under £25 that I would put on the next level down. So if this was like, if they were my all-star picks, these would be kind of recommended picks, if you like. There's a couple on the list that I haven't got here, and I will give a shout out to them. But, you know, there's some sort of, how can I put it? You know, you need to look at this, really. The other one that's not in here is the Kingston 62 Gold. And this is the first example I want to come on. Kingston 62 Gold was like £19 or something like that. Same price as that. Now, these are basically Appleton. And here's my thing, right? You've got Kingston 62, the white and the gold in there, under £25. You've also got the Appleton Signature in there, which you could argue is just a minuscule step up from the Kingston 62 gold. However, when that's sort of £22 and that's £25, that is an absolute bargain, because even on Master of Malt, you're talking £28, £29 normally for that. So that at £25 is an absolute steal. My argument then is, if you could get the Appleton 8-year-old for £25, why on earth would you buy Appleton Signature for £22? It just makes those sort of prices and those brands make absolutely no sense to me, because that is, in the grand scheme, it's a decent rum. It's okay. It's not going to set the world on fire. It's a great mixing rum, but that's an even better mixing rum and an even better sipping neat rum. I quite happily sip that neat, whereas that's like, not brilliant. So, you have to look at the whole the range as a whole from a brand to kind of think, well, actually, is that a great deal or not? Now, the rest of these are pretty much what I would say Marmite rums. To be honest, I like them. I enjoy them. Firmly, none of these would be in my top 5 picks. Absolutely no way. But I fully appreciate that these do have some fans. The Eldorado 3-year-old, for example, has a lot of fans. But for me, doesn't even come close to the Plantation 3 stars. So that's kind of a no-brainer. The Eldorado 5, again, it's all right. I'd much rather have the Eldorado 8-year-old. I probably wouldn't restock that. But when you've got stuff like the Appleton 8 in there, all right, that's Guyana and that's Jamaica, a different vibe, but it's similar style of rum. And just for clarity, I would much rather have the Neptune than the Mount Gay Eclipse. I really... I'm not a huge fan of the Mount Gay Eclipse at all. I'm generically not a huge fan of Barbados rum in general, to be honest. But, it's not my favourite. I like the Mount Gay up there. I like some of the Dawleys. But they are not what I grab, if you like. They're not my first thoughts when it comes to drinking rum. So before I talk you through my top picks, let me just run you through the list of the others. I think I've outdone myself in today's 3-ingredient highball. I'll come to that in a second. But this is brought to you by Stratford Soda. Flipping love them. Low in carbonation, they don't make me burp. Low in sugar, maximum taste because they're made with natural fruit juice. There's 4 in the range at the moment. The citrus, long daiquiri, the tropical pineapple and coconut, the hedgerow, blackberry and rose, that's what's in here. And the spiced, which is cinnamon forward and a hint of ginger. It's a link in the description below that will auto-populate at checkout, giving you 50% off your very first order. So just go and click that. But today's highball, gone a bit off the beaten track with this. I went with one of my favourite rums from Plantation, the Grand Añejo, Guatemala and Belize. Fantastic rum. But mixed with the hedgerow in there, so blackberry rose, I went with ODK's rhubarb syrup. Oh my God, this is flipping delicious. These things make highballs and simple cocktails so easy. So rums I would put in that category that I haven't got is the St. James, but what do they call it? They call it the St. James Rum Blanc, the white version of that. St. James is an agricole style of rum. I haven't got it. I have tasted a sample of it, and I think it's okay, pretty decent, but I would like to have a proper taste of that. The other one we've got is a Mauritius rum. It's called Green Islands Light Rum. It's the white rum. Again, that should be sugar cane juice, I think, the same as that. So that'll be, you'll have a different style in there. And the other one I haven't got is Angostura 5-year-old. But again, for not much more, I'd rather have the Angostura 7-year-old. So they are very, very near misses in that. But other rums that many of you would consider buying on there, we had Gosling's, Brugal Añejo, Myers. Woods for me kind of tips it a little bit, so I would probably go Woods, but I understand people have Myers. Bayou White, again, sugarcane, they grow their own sugarcane, so US sort of scratch rum distillery that I will be featuring very soon actually on this channel. Couple of their rums coming in. OVD, Cockspur, Gosling's, Gold Seal. So both Gosling's, normal Gosling's dark, and everyone knows, and the Gosling's Gold rum in there. Old J Silver, yeah, you're probably better off buying Bacardi, being brutally honest. So Old J Silver, Don Q Añejo Dark and Don Q Gold is sort of the entry level of the Don Q rums. They again will have fans, but I think you can get for that 25 quid. There's better rums in that list, easily, hands down. And the Brugal White and the Pampero Blanco. Now I have got both of those rums here, the Pampero's there, and the Brugal, I think, is, I don't know, it'll be up there somewhere. Great rums. Well, the Brugal, if you can't get Flor de Cagnes 4-year-old, then Brugal, I would, you know, in a similar style, column still, I would kind of recommend that. But Flor de Cagnes for me is a better rum. And I probably wouldn't restock Brugal because I can always get easy access to Flor de Cagnes 4-year-old. This Pampero Blanco, bit of a nothing rum to me, to be honest. It was, yeah, it's a decent white rum. Is it a step up from Bacardi? It's a lot softer than Bacardi. It's not as harsh as Bacardi. But, you know, I've got much tastier unaged white rums behind me, all for way under £25. So, yeah, that's why that's sitting right down there. So let me talk you through my top 5 picks and the near miss, the very near miss that I haven't even talked about yet. There's some great rums here, and I think, you know, I know there will be some disagreements throughout this video, but I think the vast majority of people that have been drinking rum for a long while, the vast majority of them won't disagree with me too much. So first up, I'm going for Dapucher. It's a permanent stock for me. I use it in my cocktail masterclasses, when I do the rum cocktails, daiquiris and mojitos. Always obviously got Havana and Bacardi and all Ron Santiago de Cuba, but I also carry Dawley's and Plantation 3 stars as well, because I like to give people, for those sort of mojitos, a rounded view of what they're. This is Bargain Basement. Just make sure that's around the white ray for the close-up. Bargain Basement, you know, most supermarkets carry this 18, 19, 20 pounds. Great white rum. So I wouldn't say it's authentically Jamaican, but it has got, in that sort of funk style, but it has got a lovely, lovely red berry note to the nose. And people, my cocktail masterclasses go absolutely nuts for that. I do go through. It's probably the biggest, highest volume white rum that I have, when people kind of have a little sniff and go, oh, I want that one. Then next up, it's the old favourite, you know, very different style. It's the blended rum, but Plantation 3 stars. For me personally, I always clarify this. White rums with daiquiris and mojitos, I really do love column still rums. Typically Spanish origin, Spanish sort of country islands. Absolutely love that. You know, my Cuban white rums, adore the Dom Republic white rums. You know, even stuff like Santa Teresa, they just, and to be fair, the chairman's is kind of different because it does have a little bit of column still in there, and I dare say this does as well. But I just love the lighter style of rums for daiquiris and stuff like that. However, when it comes to sipping neat, you know, that is an absolute belter and does make some great rum and cokes and rum and gingers and stuff like that. It's a great cocktail rum that I think you'd be stupid not to have in your collection. We've already spoken about this one as well. Appleton 8-year-old, £25. The absolute no-brainer of the bunch. I mean, wow, what a steal. I don't think that was on offer. It was on £25 for all 3 weeks that I was kind of researching this video. You watch the time of releasing, that'll shoot up in price now. But what an absolute steal that is. That for me is one of the best, this price, £25 rums you could possibly buy. Great for sipping neat, great for cocktails, great for your highballs, your cokes, your gingers, all that sort of stuff, your Stratford sodas. You know, it's just an all-rounder. Not too much Jamaican funk in there, but it has got a lovely sort of Jamaican vibe to it. It's absolute steal. Now we come on to Mercer. Mercer will be a new one to a few of you. I've tasted this a few times. I've only bought the bottle because I was researching this video, £23. It is a brand that I kind of want to do a little bit more of a deep dive. They're not overly open and honest about the rums in there, which is a bit of a shame, but we kind of know it is sort of a Caribbean blended rum. Now Mercer do have 2 rums that are kind of available. They have the double wood, and then they have this one. This is my favourite one out of the 2. But I need to kind of sit down with it properly here before I kind of make a really good judgment. It is a great rum. I just wish they would have a bit more sort of provenance about it. We know it's got a blend of Jamaica, Trinidad, Dominican Republic and Barbados in there. So it's a blend of that. But there's one thing that really bugs me with stuff like this, and there's no reflection of the rum, it just bugs me on the branding and the marketing side, is that it's got in very small letters the words up to on there, but slightly bigger letters. If the close-up will pick it up, the number 8. Now, at first glance, people will think that that's an 8-year-old rum. It is far from it in the realms that that's an 8-year-old rum. Basically, we know from Barbados, Jamaica, and places like that, that the minimum age of a rum in that is 8 years old. when we've got rums up to 8-year-olds, there's a great possibility that there's like an unaged white rum in there. You know, so there is effectively, see that as a non-age statement rum. It's nonsense to say rums up to 8 years old because, you know, I've got rums behind me that have got sort of 5-year-old on them, and I know full well they've got 15-year-old rums in them. So, you know, take that with a pinch of salt. Does it taste good? Yes. Do not think that that's an 8-year-old rum. Those sort of things do bug me a little bit. But on the rum quality alone, just the few sips I've had, and I've had a little bit out of the bottle here as well since I've had it, it's a decent rum. And I do like those multi-country, multi-blend rums. And for £23, again, I think that's great, because that for me, no matter how much grief I give it, is still way above the sort of rums that I showed you there, the Appleton Signature, virtually the same price. The Mount Gay Eclipse, all right, a couple of quid more expensive. You know, it is infinitely better than those rums. So it's a great rum. I'm just bugged by the up to 8 years old, when there might be, out of the 4, there might be 8 rums in there. There might be 12 rums in there. I don't know. Just because it's got 4 countries, we might have lots of different blends, lots of different rums for those. We physically don't know. So, you know, just take it that one rum out of whatever the blend is up to 8 years old. The rest of them could be unaged rums. You know, that's how you play that game. So we need a bit more clarity about that. It's a real shame that they do that. If they're open and honest, I mean, that'll be a great rum. But it's just, you've got to be open and honest with these things. And then just to finish off, let's talk about Flor de Carnia. And this might surprise people while it's in there, because the other one that was in there was Bacardi 4-year-old. Now, virtually identical prices. Virtually, I wouldn't say identical rums, a very similar style of rum. Column still, Spanish influence, you know, that's, well, was Cuba, but Puerto Rico, that's Nicaragua. And they're all about the sort of big, tall, column still rums. As I say, if I had a top 6, that would definitely be in there without a question, because that for me is still a better rum than the near misses that I had out there. I'd still much prefer to have that than any of the rums I kind of showed there for the near misses. So top 6, it gets in there, but I wouldn't necessarily have both of them. That's the thing. I would quite happily have those, but I wouldn't necessarily, if I was just kind of building my collection, I wouldn't buy both of them. So the nod for me has to go for the Flor de Carnia. I slightly prefer it. It is very different, as you'll see from a tasting video that I've done, to the Flor de Carnia 12-year-old. The Flor de Carnia 12 is more fruitier. I think this one is more suited to cocktails and your highballs. It's kind of got the more wood, the more vanilla, the more caramel notes coming through it. It's sort of an element of fruit, but not as much fruit as the Flor de Carnia 12. So it just shades it. But I know the Bacardi 4-year-old would have a lot of fans as well. Now, here's some homework. I want you guys in the community to do exactly the same as what I've done. Go into Amazon, type in rum in the search bar. You'll see roughly about 200 and some odd results in there. Go through them, get rid of the spiced rums. I want you to let the community know what you would pick. Maybe your top 3 rums that you would pick under £25 in the UK. As I say, I know some people are going to put spiced rums in there. Some people will be an obvious mistake that they won't know the difference between rum and spiced rum. That's, you know, that's absolutely fine. But if you can, normal rums under 25 quid on Amazon,